Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to solve day 20 problem of this month on LeetCode. Before starting, if you guys haven't subscribed my YouTube channel yet, then please go ahead and subscribe it. Now without any delay, let's get started with today's problem. Problem number 3355, Zero Array Transformation 1. So let's read the problem statement first. You are given an integer array nums of length n and a 2D array queries where queries of I has two values L and R. Okay, for each queries of I, we have to select a subset of indices within the range L to R in nums, and then we have to decrement the value at the selected indices by 1. A zero array is an array where all the elements are equal to 0. Okay, and we have to return true if it is possible to transform nums into a zero array after processing all the queries sequentially. Otherwise we have to return false. Okay, so there is one thing that is not clear in the problem statement. Okay, and we will see that here in example number 1. Okay, so here see, this is your nums array, right? 0, 1 and 2. Okay, so it is saying that 0 to 2 you have to decrement the values at the selected indices by 1. Okay, so here if I decrement all the values by 1, so I will get here 0, and here I will get -1, and here I will get 0, right? So my output should be false then, but it is true, right? So here actually it is not reducing the count of this value. Okay, this which is already 0, right? So this value is already 0, so it is not doing anything here, right? So it is going to remain 0 only, right? But this thing is not mentioned here in the problem statement, right? So for each queries of I, we have to select a subset of indices within the range, and we have to decrement the values at the selected indices by 1. Okay, so if we do that, so we will get -1 here, right? So, and our output should be false, but we are not doing that here, right? So here see, for I is equal to 0, select the subset of indices as 0 to 2 and decrement the values at these indices by 1. Okay, so here it's saying that the array will become 0 0 0, right, which is 0 array, right? But however it should become 0 -1 0 if we are just decrementing the values by 1. Okay, so here one more point, that if the value is already 0, then just don't decrement it. Okay, all right. So this is I think they haven't written this clearly in the problem statement. Okay, so right, and see this example number 2 here, 0 1 2 3. Okay, so if you pick this first query 1 2 3, right? So 1 2 3, here you decrement everything by 1. Okay, 2 1 0. Okay, then if you pick 0 to 2, okay, 0 to 2 here, so this is going to become 3, and this is also decrementing one more time, 3 1, and here it is also decrementing, it is going to become 0 0. Okay, so in the end, see, this is not 0 array, right? So for I is equal to 0, select the subset of indices 1 2 3, right, and decrement the values at these indices by 1. So we are going to get a 4 2 1 0. Okay, so this is what we are getting here. For I is equal to 1, if you pick this, then we are going to get 3 1 0 0. Okay, so select the subset of indices at 0 1 2 and decrement the values at these indices by 1. So we are going to get this, which is not a 0 array, right? All right, so this is clear, right? Now here if you see this constant size, so nums dot length 10⁵. Okay, it can be 10⁵. Okay, max. And here queries dot length, it can also be 10⁵. Okay, so here we can't do brute force here, like if we pick first query and then do some operations here, then we pick a next query and then do some operations here. So in that case 10⁵, and here again 10⁵. Okay, in worst case. So this is going to give me time limit exceed error. Okay, so we have to check some other approach, right? So brute force we can't apply here, right? And here nums of I value is also from 0 to 10⁵. Okay, and queries dot length is also 10⁵. Okay, and queries of I dot length, it has just two values. Okay, left and right. Okay, left and right given to us. And here see L and R. Okay, this value is belongs to 0 to nums dot length. Okay, so here nums dot length is 4. Okay, so here C values are from 0 to 3, right? Less than nums dot length. Okay, so here you see all the values are from 0 to 3 in the queries. Okay, so here the length is 3. So here if you see all the values are from 0 to 2, right? 0 to only L and R value we are using, right? So from here we can use one difference array approach. Okay, so what does this approach say? So let's say let's consider a number line. Okay, so here this is one line. Let's pick this example only, 4 3 2 1. Okay, so here this is my number line. Okay, and here in this number line we know that we have values in L or R, for in this L and R from ranging from 0 to this nums dot length. Okay, so 0 to 3. right? So here let's say this is 0, and this is a 0 index, this is 1 index, okay, this is 2 index, and let's say this is 3 index, and let's say this is 4 index. Okay, I'm taking plus 1 extra. Okay, so now here this is 1 3. Okay, so at 1, just initially all the values are 0, right? Here also it's 0, here also it's 0, it's 0 0 0 initially, right? Okay, all the values are 0, right? In this new difference array I'm creating of length n plus 1. Okay, n plus 1, right? So here 1, so at 1 do one thing, here do minus 1. Okay, and here at 3, 3 plus 1 4, so here do plus 1. Okay, after this 3 plus 1, here do plus 1. Okay, here at 0 do minus 1, and here at 2 plus 1, that is 3, do minus 1. Okay, all right. So here actually what is happening here, we are decrementing the values, right? If you I say 0 to 2, decrement the values by minus 1. Okay, so here in the 0 I just start decrementing all the values by 1. Okay, so at 0 I decrement by 1, then at 1 I decrement it by 1, at 2 I decremented the value by 1. Okay, at 0 index, at 1 index, at 2 index I decrement by 1, but after that we don't need to decrement now. So here after that 3 there is not going to change. So in this minus 1 I am writing plus 1, so minus 1 plus 1 it is going to become 0, so that it is going to remain same, right? So that's the reason I'm doing minus 1. So that simply means here also minus 1. Okay, so here, like here if you see minus 1 comma 3, that simply means that here I'm doing minus 1 at value at 1 index, then here also I'm going to do minus 1, and here also I'm going to do minus 1, and at 4 I have to just go back to the initial state. Okay, right? So 0 2, if I ask you to just decrement all the values by minus 1, so here this is going to be your graph. Okay, 0 you are at minus 1, at 1 index you are doing minus 1, at 2 you are doing minus 1, so at 2 plus 1 3 I am doing plus 1, so that minus 1 plus 1 is going to become 0, so no change at this index, right? So that's the reason. Okay, so we have to start making the changes from minus 1 from here, and at 2 plus 1, okay, we have to stop it. Okay, so this is what I'm doing, right? So here for 1 3 and 0 2 I fill the values. Now what you need to do, now just calculate the total prefix sum. Okay, so here uh, minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 is going to become minus 2, minus 2, here it's 0 only, so minus 2 plus 0 minus 2 only, and here minus 2 minus 1 it is going to become minus 3. Okay, here minus 3 plus 1, right? Here 0 2 now, so here this is plus 1 actually, right? This is going to be plus 1 only, right? So 1, at 1 I'm writing minus 1, at 4 I'm writing plus 1. Okay, at 0 I'm writing minus 1, and at 3 I'm writing plus 1. Okay, so now minus 1 minus 2 minus 2, and it is going to be minus 2 plus 1, so it is going to be minus 1. Okay, so this is going to be minus 1 only, not minus 3, minus 1. Okay, minus 1, and minus 1 plus 1 0, right? So this is a prefix sum that I have calculated, right? This is done. Okay, so now here at 4 we have minus 1. Okay, so I am writing 3. Here at 3 we have minus 2, so 3 minus 2 1. At 2 we have minus 2, so I am writing 0. And here at 1, here this is 1, and here it is minus 1. 1 minus 1 0. Okay, so until here only we need to write. Okay, I'm taking n plus 1. So here see, this is what we are getting finally. Okay, so we have to just create one difference array, we have to calculate the prefix sum, and here see in the end all these values. Okay, you are going to get 3100. So here you will check now, initially if you get any value which is not equal to 0, then simply return false here. Okay, if you get any value greater than 0. Okay, why I'm saying greater than 0, because here if you see this example now. Okay, so here just create one number line, this is your number line, and here length is nums length is 3. Okay, so here create 0 1 2 3. Okay, right, until here you can create. Okay, so here like 3, so here 4 you're getting. Okay, 4, and here also 3, right? So now after that here at 0 it is minus 1, and at 2 plus 1 you have to write plus 1 here. Okay, right? Okay, now if you calculate prefix of minus 1, here minus 1, here it is 0 now, minus 1 plus 0 minus 1, minus 1 plus 1, here you are going to get at 0. Okay, so now here you check 1, if you do minus 1 to this, okay, 1 plus minus 1 you are going to get 0, and here see 0 and minus 1 you are going to get minus 1, right? So here this value is not still not greater than 0, right? So here this is also not greater than 0, so here we are getting -1, and this is also not greater than 0. Okay, and here 1 minus 1 0, this is also not greater than 0. Okay, so we process all the numbers and simply return true here. Okay, but here in this case you are getting this number greater than 0, right? So here that is why I'm not checking just is not equal to 0, I'm checking greater than 0. Okay, because we may get a minus value, right? So very simple, let's write the code. Okay, nothing complex here, very simple problem, right? So here first of all, let's calculate the length of your nums array. Let me just maximize the screen. All right, so here you have to write int n is equal to nums dot length. All right, and then after that just iterate over all the queries one by one. For int query, you can use for each loop. Okay, here queries, and here your left is going to be a query of 0, and your right is going to be query at 1. Okay, and now after that here create one difference array also, right? So int diff is equal to new int, and here just pass n plus 1. Okay, and here you have to update difference at L. Okay, diff at L. So here whatever the diff value initially, in that you have to subtract 1. Okay, right? So in that you have to subtract 1, and now after that you have to write here diff of r. Okay, so at r we are here, you do one thing, query 1, and here you can write plus 1 also. Okay, we are taking the next value. Okay, so here diff of r, you can write diff of r is equal to plus equal to 1. Okay, so here we are adding 1. Right, now we have to calculate the prefix sum. So how we are going to calculate the prefix sum? Just run one loop. For int I is equal to 1, I is less than n, I plus plus. Okay, and here diff of I we are going to update as diff of I plus diff of I minus 1. Okay, I minus 1. So here we are going to calculate the prefix sum. So this is done. Once this is done, then in the end, okay, you have to check if all the nums I plus diff of I is greater than 0. Okay, if it is greater than 0, return false, otherwise return false or return true, right? So here simple for loop for int I is equal to 0, I is less than n, and here I plus plus, and here you have to check if nums of I value, okay, plus diff of I value, okay, if it is greater than 0, then in that case you have to return false. Okay, and otherwise simply return true, right? That's it, only 22 lines of code. All right, this is done. Okay, now let's run it and see if there are any code issues. Right, so see, all the test case has been accepted. Now let's submit it. So see, our solution is accepted, right? And the time complexity is going to be, since we are running this of n here also of n. Okay, of n plus of n, and let's say number of queries is m. Okay, so of m plus of n plus of n, right? So overall you can say maybe of n plus m, right? So right, O of n plus q. Okay, so I hope that you guys are able to understand today's problem, and if you guys still have any doubts, then please feel free to ask in the comment section. Till then, keep coding and keep practicing. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you, bye bye.